Buffalo Boys Week 8, Episode 8. How are you feeling today, Todd?
Feeling great, Ryan. Really excited to be here. I've got the Baltimore Ravens and the Tampa Bay Bucks on my phone, so I might be a little distracted as we talk, or I might cheer. I don't have anyone going tonight. I decided to bench Bateman, but I'm excited for the game tonight.
All right, well, if you see any catches or touchdowns by Duvernay, please cheer. So I know that my team is doing well. He was a last-second addition. I heard Lazard is going to be out on Sunday, so not feeling great about it, but who knows? Maybe he'll get a touch or two. As always, we are brought to you by the good folks at Mattress Blacks. Todd, I stopped by the chiropractor this week, and he said, wow, your back looks so much better than it normally does. It must be that mattress from Mattress Blacks you've been sleeping on. And of course he was right. It's comfortable. It's affordable. What else could he want?
We had some guests this week, Ryan, who stayed in the guest bed, and it was legitimately difficult to get them out of our house when they were ready to leave.
If our listeners use the promo code SPOOKY at checkout, they will get 15% off their first order this week. That is promo code SPOOKY, SPOOKY. And as always, remember, at Mattress Blacks, you can get a king-size mattress. That's good for your back.
I got a king-size mattress that's good for your back.
And for the second week in a row, we are brought to you by our friends at Boards Golf Emporium, the largest golf store in New Hanover County. If you are anywhere close to Wilmington and need golf supplies, there is only one place to go, and that is Boards Golf Emporium off 13th Street. I'm being told, Todd, that there were a number of calls to the fire department last week from some smoke that was billowing from the back of the store. As we warned our viewers, do not go in the back of the store. Do not be alarmed by any smells in the back of the store. And I guess there was some smoke. People were a little alarmed. I'm being told that everything is okay. Even if you see some smoke in the back of the store, do not be alarmed. And please do not call the emergency services. Again, that is Boards Golf Emporium. If you use the code Putt from the Rough at checkout, you will get 10% off your first order. Again, Boards Golf Emporium.
Boards Emporium, Ryan, really provided a spark for my golf game this past week.
That's great to hear, Todd. I hope they provide sparks for other people on the course as well. And moving into the podcast, of course, we start every time. I see you're sipping now, but Todd, what are you sipping on this week?
Well, Ryan, you almost could have had me on a Buffalo. Thankfully, I just shifted my drink over. But this week, I've got a really nice bourbon. It's from Barrel Bourbon, and all they do is single barrel stuff, and it's very strong, very smooth, and highly recommend it.
Great to hear, Todd. For the second week in a row, I'm enjoying some Pinot Noir from D. Bosler. This is a 2019 Pinot Noir from the Casablanca Valley in Chile. Something I learned this week, Todd. If your wine says the region that it's from, like the more specific geography that your bottle says, the better quality wine it is. I've had this one going on a couple weeks. I'm still enjoying it. It's a good one. So cheers.
Cheers, Ryan.
And with that, let's jump right into episode 8 of Buffalo Boys. Of course, we start every week after the What Are You Sipping On segment with Quality Control Coach of the Week. I would love to know who your pick is this week, Todd.
This week's Quality Control Coach is actually last week's Clown Coach, David Evans. He really responded to our critique last week, Ryan, and started his optimal lineup, leaving no points on the bench. However, given his bye weeks, there wasn't really anyone that he was choosing between. Regardless, though, he grabbed a crucial victory.
Congratulations, Dave. We'd love to hear it, getting in somebody's ear, calling them out and Clown Owner of the Week, and then them turning it around immediately. Love to hear that. And of course, for every Quality Control Coach of the Week, there must be a Clown Coach or Clown Owner of the Week. Todd, I would love to know who your pick is this week.
This week's Clown Coach is Doug. He once again struggled to start his optimal lineup, leaving 11.6 points on the bench. and he acknowledged this during the games on Sunday. The 11.6 points would have been enough to secure the victory over Jimmy, who is currently number 1 as a result. It was a real head scratcher for him to start Jamal Williams against the stout Dallas line over Travis Etienne.
Yeah, that was tough to see, and he got punished for it. So maybe he'll do better this week. Thanks for that, Todd.
This week, Ryan, I've got 2 trivia questions for us, and Dave has joined the call to help you out.
First off, welcome back, Dave.
Hello. It's great to be back.
And he speaks this time, Todd. So exciting.
Hopefully he has an answer this week. First up this week, there are 2 players with 20% plus target share in all 7 weeks of the season so far. 2 players have gotten 20% of their team's target share every single game this season so far. Who are they?
I guess I'll go first. Travis Kelce.
Cooper Kupp.
All right, Ryan, who's your second guess?
I guess Tyreek Hill.
Dave?
Dave is such a cheater.
No.
He is.
CD Lamb.
His wife said so.
CeeDee Lamb is right, but now I'm starting to question Dave's integrity.
I did not search this.
You just had it up already?
No, I just had a list of wide receivers.
Sure. All right. I'll give you guys one more guess each to get the last player.
I mean, let's go with a team who's not very good. My boys, Deontay Johnson.
It is not Deontay Johnson, but it might be another DJ.
Daggone it.
All right, Dave for the win. Go ahead, Dave.
I was going to guess T. Higgins, but
It's a layup. Go ahead.
it is not him. There's no fucking way.
Say his name.
Moore?
DJ Moore it is.
Todd, I almost like Dave better when he didn't speak.
Jumping to our second question of the week, there are 3 wide receivers to have not dropped a pass this season with a minimum of 40 targets. Can you name those 3 receivers?
Wow.
Who haven't dropped a pass so far this season?
Wow.
That's incredible. I'll go Adam Thielen.
Ding, ding, ding.
Really?
Go, baby.
That's hard to believe. UNC great. Mac Hollins.
Nope.
Something tells me it's somebody from Cincinnati, and I don't know if I should go T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd. I'll go T. Higgins.
Nope. Dave, who's your guess?
I was going to guess McLaurin because he's got sticky fingers, but he's being thrown to by a couple of terrible quarterbacks. I'll throw that as my guess.
It is not McLaurin. One more guess for each of you. Ryan, who do you got?
Stephon Diggs.
Nope. Dave?
Jacoby Myers.
It is not Jacoby Myers. It is actually George Pickens and Tyler Lockett.
Wow. All right. Steelers in the house. What's up?
Thanks for playing, Dave.
I suck at fantasy football.
Yeah, sorry, Dave. I think you're going to go down this week against me. Next is bold prediction recap. Last week, I predicted that one of those new QBs, of course, our listeners will remember that last week was a pretty big week for waiver pickups of QBs. I believe there were 5 new QBs that were added. And one of my predictions was that one of those new QBs would get less than 10 fantasy points, would totally shit the bed. And I was not wrong. Matt Ryan was picked up by Dave, and he got 9.92 points, just under the 10-point threshold. And even though Matt Ryan did not do well, he still beat Nixon. Dave did. So congratulations, Dave. What was your bold prediction last week?
The group me has said that your bold predictions are a little lacking. Maybe they're italicized, maybe they're normal font, but they have certainly not been bold. But this past prediction, no one could argue with. That was a bold prediction. A QB getting less than 10 points. Bravo. My hat's off to you. I don't have a hat, but I wish I did so I could just take it off right now. Last week, my bold prediction was that Dave would have the least amount of points among the remaining teams that have not been eliminated from our survivor pool. He did not. He had a good week, which we'll talk about more shortly.
All right. Thanks for that, Todd. Moving forward, we have quick hit stats. I can't wait to hear what stats you've picked up this week. And of course, as always, Todd, hit me.
Gladly, Ryan. This week, I'm leading off with a contentious point in the group me this week. There's been much debate over whether Daniel Jones has actually been playing well. The stats, despite Mike Simpson's arguments, are in Daniel Jones' favor. Through 7 weeks, Danny Dimes has rushed for more yards than Najee Harris, Ryan. Daniel Jones' QBR rating since week 4, 3rd, 5th, 4th, 2nd. Can't argue with those results. Well, Mike can, but here we are. Speaking of QBs, Justin Fields had 10 designed runs on Monday night. Last season, he had a total of 18. Somehow, Chris Olave continues to lead the league in air yards. He's got 912 air yards on the season. And spoiler alert, though we're not going to cover it this week as we haven't had enough time to digest it, Chris Olave was just traded from Nixon to Neal. Austin Eckler, also known as RB1, has no rushes inside the 5-yard line this year, Ryan, and he only has 2 games with more than 40 rushing yards on the season, Ryan. How can the RB1 have only 2 games with more than 40 rushing yards? Well, he's receiving WR1 target volume and is crushing it right now.
Wow. Good for Jimmy. Good for Austin Eckler. That's very surprising.
Personally, I wanted to take a moment to celebrate, honor, and lament the RB6 on the season, Breece Hall. He had a great season, and it's wasted on an ACL injury. The league average pass attempts in 1946 was 21.3, which is on par for the Falcons this season. Mariota is only averaging 21.4 attempts per game. Who has more career fantasy points, Freiermuth or Kyle Pitts?
Kyle Pitts?
You fell right into that one, Ryan. It's Freiermuth.
Wow, my boy. Okay. That's very interesting.
Jumping into the West Park Fantasy League, Jimmy and I have 99 wins. Nixon has 98. With Nixon and I facing off this week, and Jimmy having several players on bye, it might be the case that we all end up at 99 wins this week. And if so, I'm going to definitely make my weekly wager be who gets to 100 first.
I love it. Todd, I'm curious, and I'm sure the viewers are curious too. Once you get to 100 wins, I mean, that's a huge milestone, obviously. What are you going to do once you get to 100 wins? I mean, is there going to be a huge celebration down in South Beach? I mean, what are you thinking?
There is a secret group me for the 100-win teams. I can't say much more, but I've heard a couple whispers.
Wait, what? There's a group me for 100-win people? Are you kidding me?
I know you're a little bit far away from that, Ryan.
Yeah, what the fuck, man? That's crazy. Oh my gosh, I feel like I've been cheated. I feel like my whole life has been a lie. Wow, how elitist.
Last week, AJ was eliminated from the survival pool instead of me, as I barely got by with only 74 points this past week. 7 weeks in, and Ryan, you lead the league in drafted points. Somehow in the past 2 seasons, I don't know what you've done, but you've completely changed your narrative.
You know what, Todd, I don't want to give away my secrets, but yeah, I felt really good these last 2 drafts, and happy to hear that stat. Thank you.
AJ now leads the way with the luckiest record. He has 1.33 more wins than expected. Forrest takes over for Miss Unlucky, having 1.16 less wins than expected. And that wraps up the quick hit segment this week, Ryan.
Great job as always, Todd. Thank you for putting those together. You mentioned the Nixon and Neal trade that just went down, obviously a 7-player trade. I'm sure we'll have lots to say about that one next week and throughout the week. Before we could dive into that, I would love to hear what other transactions have happened and your take on the waiver wire this week. So take it away.
As with every season, Ryan, transactions abound during bye weeks. We had many a waiver selected and 3 different trades in this past week alone. Starting with waivers, AJ had the splash waiver of the week, picking up Antonio Gibson for $48, barely topping me in my bid of 42. Chuba Hubbard went for an astounding $50 to Neil. Neil's lucky number was clearly $50 this week, as he also bid $50 on the forever inept Paris Campbell. Spoiler, no one else bid on him, Ryan. Jimmy blew a ton of budget on Gesicki this week, bidding $47, when the next highest bid was only $13. Fortunately for Jimmy, though, he had the tiebreaker and got Greg the Leg for his kicker this week after he got the advantage over Forrest this week. Moving on to the trades this week, Ryan. Let's start off with Forrest and Mike. Forrest traded Kyle Pitts and the 49ers defense to the tight end hungry squad of Mike Simpson for Kyron Williams and the Packers D. This was a real head scratcher when it happened, and it still is. Imagine this trade 8 weeks ago would have been impossible. It's still pretty wild to me that Forrest took the injured long shot behind a terrible O-line. I'm speaking of Kyron Williams here, instead of the yet-to-be-realized upside for Kyle Pitts. The Packers D is also really bad. I would recommend not starting them. But update, Forrest has already dropped the Packers D. As such, Mike sadly won yet another trade. How does he do it? Our second trade this week was with Mike Hoyle and Nixon Ball. Hoyle jumped into the fray, not satisfied with his winless start, and he traded Tony Pollard to Nixon for Adam Thielen. It was an excellent trade for Nixon and terrible timing for Hoyle with Zeke in question this week. Honestly, it's just an easy win for Nixon there. I mean, most wins against Hoyle have been pretty easy this season, though.
But, Todd, I have to remind you, after we talked a lot of shit about Mike last week, he came through and he got his first win. Threw the pie in our face. I'm sure we will have lots to discuss about that later in the show, but I just have to give Mike Hoyle credit where credit is due.
I'll own up to that shortly when we do our Week 7 recap.
Fantastic.
Moving on, though, our last trade of the three was David Adler and Doug. Doug finally got onto the market after talking for weeks about making a trade, and Adler got the best of him here. Adler traded one of his two tight ends, Dallas Goedert, for Raheem Mostert from Doug. The Dolphins have the second most favorable schedule for fantasy running backs for the remainder of the season. And while I doubt Mostert stays healthy the whole season, or even if he does for most of the rest of the season, Adler is easily going to win this one.
Absolutely. I agree.
Outside of our fourth trade that just happened right before this, that's it for the week.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Todd. Now moving on, it is matchup rundown review. If you recall, last week I went 4-3. I once again went 4-3. Not a great week. And like I mentioned a little earlier, we both predicted Mike Hoyle's result wrong. Of course, he got his first win of the season. Congrats, Hoyle. And I am now 29-20 for the season. Todd, how are you standing right now?
Well, Ryan, it was a bad week for me. I finished at 3-4, which puts me at 29-20 for the season, and we're all tied up.
All tied up, baby. It's a new season. Here we go.
I predicted myself over AJ and crushed it. I also predicted Mike beating Adler, and he finished number 1 overall. I did not predict Hoyle winning, and I do owe him an apology, as he really responded to our call out last week. And lastly, I did not pick Dave over Nixon. Dave had some unexpected breakout performances from Tyler Boyd, amongst others, which put him over Nixon this past week.
Hey, Todd, you win some, you lose some. That's what the next week is about. We are still around to make new predictions. And without further ado, it is Week 8 matchup rundown. The first game we're going to be talking about is Forrest versus Mike S. The battle of the owner orientation guests. That's what I'm calling this one here, Todd. I like Mike in this game. Forrest is starting a questionable and not very consistent Russell Wilson.
Ryan, I've got Mike this week.
Moving on, Mims versus Neil. Give me your take on this one first here, Todd.
While Mims really did not do well this past week, it's hard to vocalize any confidence in Neil's squad. And frankly, Ryan, I haven't had enough time to digest who even is on Neil's squad following this trade. So I'm going to have to give it to Mims.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Todd. I think Dak is going to have a field day against Chicago, but Mims is already off to an early lead early in the second quarter, of the Tampa Bay Baltimore game on Thursday night. Uncle Randy's team is just too up and down for me. So yeah, I'm going with Mims in this one. Up next, Rick versus Hoyle. Mike's team is too injured, in my opinion. Derrick Henry will go off against Houston. Rick is going to win this one. Todd, your thoughts?
Well, I told you last week, I just can't pick Hoyle again, even if Jamar Chase isn't playing for Rick. So I've got Rick this week.
And last but not least, Doug versus AJ. Close this out here, Todd. Who you got?
I've got AJ over Doug. Doug's team and the management has left much to be desired. So I've got AJ this week.
I agree with you. I think it's going to be a close game, a good game, but I think AJ is going to win here. And boy, I feel like it was forever ago since Doug was chatting in the group me, saying how proud he was that he was undefeated. And now he's sitting here with 2 losses, and it's not looking good for our boy. I don't know what's going on.
It's really been a turning of the tides. And speaking of a turning of the tides, Mike Evans just dropped an easy catch, just like he did last week against the Panthers. I don't know what's happened, but Brady is not happy right now.
Yeah, how could he be? It's been a tough year for Brady. Giselle left him. His team is in shambles. I do not envy him right now, but he is a multimillionaire, so he'll be fine. Moving on, breakout of the week. Last week, I picked DeAndre Hopkins, and I said, Todd, that DeAndre Hopkins, his first week back, he would have more than 10 fantasy points. Well, surprise, surprise, he got 15. Really good pick for me. And my breakout this week is a little closer to home, the Commanders defense. I picked them up. I didn't feel super good about Tampa Bay against Baltimore this week. Looking pretty good for Tampa Bay right now. It's early. But my breakout of the week and my bold prediction of the week are both the Commanders defense. Todd, let me tell you about it. For the entire season, they've only had 2 interceptions for the season. They are playing the Colts this week, and my prediction is that they will have at least 2 interceptions in this game. Feeling pretty good about it. I would love to know your thoughts, and then I would love to know your breakout of the week and your bold prediction.
That is quite a pick, Ryan. 2 picks in a game, that doesn't happen that often, so no one's going to doubt you there on a bold prediction. I did doubt you last week with your Hopkins pick, and you were right. I was wrong. So I got to give it up to you. Last week, I predicted that Mike Williams would break out. He broke out and also broke down. He left the game with a high ankle sprain, but not before finishing as a top 6 wide receiver. I predicted that he would finish top 5 with 2 touchdowns and 80-plus yards. He finished with 86 yards and 1 touchdown before his injury. This week, my breakout is Brandon Ayuk. He's a part of my breakout roster, so it's only fitting. Debo is banged up. The Rams have struggled against wide receivers. They've allowed 29.1 fantasy points per game to the wide receiver position, which is good for 22nd worst. And if Debo isn't playing, who else are they going to throw to? My bold prediction for this week is that Derrick Henry once again demolishes the Texans. In his last 3 games against the Texans, he's averaged 224 yards per game. I think I need to repeat that, Ryan. 224 yards per game.
Wow.
I'm boldly predicting that he once again crosses the 200-yard threshold this week.
Now that is a bold prediction, Todd. Clearly the numbers are in your favor. The stats are in your favor, but You rarely see running backs go over 200 yards, so I can't wait to tune into that game. Great pick. And finally, weekly wager. Todd, do we have a weekly wager this week? Did anyone pick up your weekly wager from last week? Tell us all about it.
Last week, I couldn't get the pod out in time to get the weekly wager to be relevant. My weekly wager was that Kyler Murray would not meet his current prop bet of 245 yards passing last Thursday. He did indeed go way under 245. I think he finished just over 200 yards passing. This week, my weekly wager, though, for $5 is that I will be the first of Nixon, Jimmy, and myself to get 100 wins.
And there you have it, folks. He's laying down the gauntlet. If you disagree, put your money where your mouth is. I love it, Todd. I love the confidence. I hope you get there. And once you get invited to that special 100 winners group me, please tell me all about it, who they're talking shit about, what they're talking about. Anyway, I'm very jealous, Todd, so that's awesome. Good luck this week. Good luck to all of our listeners. Thanks, as always, for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Support our wonderful sponsors, and we will talk to you all next week.
Remember, don't get buffaloed.